And we will go ahead and kick off our webinar. So first and foremost, thank you so much for joining us for this installment of Magically Live, where we'll discuss how WCAG 2.2 fuels business growth and innovation. For our quote for today on the screen, it says, the more accessible the web, the more valuable it is to everyone. And this is a quote by Steve Krug. Alrighty, so before we go ahead and get started, again, thank you so much for joining us for this installment of Magically Live. For those of you who don't know, Magically Live is a series of events that we're hosting in which we'll pick one accessibility topic each time and take a deep dive into it. My name is MagicA11y. I'm an accessibility consultant here at Magic, and today I'm joined by our wonderful Director of Accessibility, Tarveen Kaur.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining Magically Live. And this will gonna be a very interesting topic. I know that we have already started talking about WCAG 2.2, but we'll be sharing the live example, how we can ensure compliance and what is the business benefit if you start thinking and implementing WCAG 2.2 now. So thank you so much for joining. And you can drop in your all the questions in the chat itself, and we'll be happy to answer.
Yep. So yeah, along with that housekeeping, we'll use the question and answer at the end of this session. And then there are also closed captions enabled. So to use them, you can just select the CC button at the bottom of the screen. This session is being recorded, so we will share out the deck and the recording with everyone who registered. And you can find all of our previous sessions on YouTube. Alrighty. I think we have a poll before we get into our agenda for the day. Okay, so the poll says, are you familiar with the latest updates in the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines 2.2? The first option is, yes, I'm familiar with WCAG 2.2. The second option is, no, I'm not familiar with WCAG 2.2. And the third option is, I have some knowledge but would like to learn more. So we'll give everyone just a second to go ahead and answer that. Alrighty. And it looks like the majority of our responses fall under, yes, I'm familiar with WCAG 2.2, or I have some knowledge, but I would like to learn more. So that's lovely. If you have some knowledge and you'd like to learn more, you came to the right place. Okay, we'll go into our agenda for the day. So first we'll be looking at an overview of WCAG 2.2. Then we'll look at some key changes in WCAG 2.2. We'll talk about implementation of advice and some strategies and some innovation and growth. And then we'll go into our QA for the day. Alrighty, so let's start with the overview. So WCAG 2.2 was published on October 5th, 2023. It includes 9 new success criteria to address some different types of disabilities that were not covered in the previous version, but we'll go into some of those in the next slide. The 2.0 and 2.1 success criteria are essentially the same in 2.2 with one exception. 4.1.1 is obsolete and removed from WCAG 2.2. So WCAG 2.2 is backwards compatible. So this means that if you are compliant to WCAG 2.2, then you will automatically be compliant to WCAG 2.1 and WCAG 2.0. So that's always good to know. The guidelines are categorized under level A, level AA, and level AAA. And the total guidelines are 58 guidelines for A and AA and 29 guidelines for AAA. Right, and I believe we have another poll before we go on to our next slide. What are some of the new accessibility requirements in WCAG 2.2? The first option is requirements for mobile devices and low vision users. The second option is requirements for high quality audio content. And the third option is requirements for content with complex animations. Give you a second to go ahead and answer that. Alrighty, and almost everyone answered requirements for mobile devices and low vision users. You would be correct. Okay. So the main difference between WCAG 2.2 and WCAG 2.1 lies in improved accessibility for three groups of disabilities. So this are users with low vision, users with cognitive or learning disabilities, and users with restrictions like motor disabilities that make using mobile devices challenging. This is really focused on time-based media and keyboard accessibility. Alrighty, Tarveen, over to you.
Sure, thank you. So let's talk about what's new in WCAG 2.2 and why these got introduced is already being covered by Anjali. So as we know that 2.2, we all waited for so long to have 2.2 officially released. 2.2 is actually extension of 2.1, where we have added 9 new guidelines. And let's talk about the bifurcation, and I'll be talking about each one of them with example in the upcoming slides. So 2 guidelines were added to level A, which is like mandatory to have, you can't skip this. So first guideline that got added is 3.2.6, which is consistent help. Second one is 3.3.7, which is redundant entry. Then we have 4 new guidelines added to AA. First one is 2.4.11, which is focus, not obscured, with minimum. Then we have 2.5.7 dragging moments, 2.5.8 for target size, 3.3.8 accessible authentication minimum. And then we have 3 guidelines added to AAA, and we plan not to cover AAA during this session because that's not a requirement across. But in case you need any additional details on AAA, we are happy to help. These are all the more enhanced version of what you see in level AA. Addition to all of this, 4.1.1, which was a requirement of 2.1, it got obsolete and removed because it's no longer required. And 2.4.7, which was focus visible, moved from AA to AAA because low vision or colorblind user needs to have minimum contrast ratio for the focus. That's the reason it got moved from AA to AAA. Moving on to the next slide. Let's talk about what is consistent help and why do we need it. Consistent help requirement states that wherever you are in your application, there should be a consistent page where I can have the information about contact us, a quick chat window, or email or live chat. This helps user to have a conversation at live duration if he's stuck, if he needs any additional information, or if he's trying to contact you. So common help mechanism today, as you see, are the chatbots, AI-enabled chatbots that you see. And there are FAQs and support pages that are always there, and they are usually either at the top panel or the bottom panel. On the right side of the screen, you will see 2 examples I have taken. They both are from the Marriott website. So at the bottom panel, they always have contact us with the phone number, then what is the duration, and a quick email and a chat, live chat. And at the top panel, they have the help button. If you click, you will have all the help information and a chat window that opens up. And this panel remains consistent throughout the application. So that becomes very easy for user to have a consistent help while using the application. Now, moving on to the next example, next guideline, which is redundant entry. Now, why redundant entry is taken into consideration? There are many people for whom it's very difficult to type in all the information or remember all the information. So that's where this guideline came into existence. This guideline help you meet the requirement to auto-populate, provide ease of use in terms of adding information which is repetitive, also selecting and adding the information that you have previously entered. For example, I'm trying to shop something and I did entered all the information while creating an account. But as soon as I reached the billing information, it asked me to re-enter. Now I need to do all the effort again and add the information. So it's convenient to have a checkbox which says that billing address is same as the shipping address, and all the information will get auto-populated. How easy it is for me if I'm a cognitive disability, and I can easily move with quick turnaround time and meet the requirement that I have. So that's the reason everywhere in the application, if there's any redundant information that you're collecting from the user, try to have an option which can auto-populate from the previously entered information in your application. It saves a lot of time, effort, and energy for everyone. Moving on to the next one. Next one is the guideline related to level AA, which is 2.4.11, focus not obscured minimum. When we say focus not obscured, what does it mean? That whenever there is a pop-up or any content that appears at the top panel above your content, it should not obscured or be an obstacle to read the background content. It's always mandatory to add white spaces, add the right contrast ratio, have your content either place at the sticky header at the top and move the content downward, or have it place the way it is being read without having obstacle in the content that is being authored. The example that you see on the right side of the screen, first one is the pop-up just appears and there is no information that gets lost. I'm able to read through the content. And the second one, I was doing a task, but the pop-up just appear over and above. I don't know how to read through the content at the back end. So it obscured the information that I have. So always try to add the scroll padding and ensure the sticky header does not entirely obscure the focused item. And in the next two slides, I will be talking about the compliant and the non-compliant example. So moving on to the next slide. So this is a non-compliant. So what happened is I opened up one of the website and there is a footer section at the bottom, and also the blue panel that you see on the screen where it's written term of use privacy. That section is actually appearing over like below the cookies pop-up that appears. It's or please ensure that these pop-ups either appear at the top or at the bottom without impacting the readability of your content or application. Moving on to the next, this is the example I've taken from W3C website. As you see, this also talks about cookies, but it just moved the sticky panel and just appearing at the top without impacting my readability of the content. So I can have this pop-up remain as is and move through the slide without having any impact on my readability. So that's how we should ensure compliance while having the pop-ups or any important information being displayed on the screen. Moving on to the next guideline, which is dragging movement. We have always seen people with motor disabilities struggling with the drag and drop element because it has keyboard shortcut associated to it, whereas the request and the implementation that was taken into consideration while drafting 2.2 is to ensure that there is a drop-down menu for ease of use without doing much of a hand movements. You can easily do the drag. So if you see the example on the right panel, in the drop-down menu, there are two examples. First one has the up and down arrow buttons, which helps me very easily move from one list item to the another list item and drop my element wherever I need without doing much of hand movements. And then also using the screen, the keyboard shortcuts. And the second one is in the drop down itself, I have stated 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And wherever I want to place my draggable, droppable element, I can just select 3 and it will move to the third element and move the remaining element downwards. And same way, the extreme right screenshot, you see the list items being placed, and there is a right arrow and the left arrow, which can help me drag elements from the right panel to left and left to right. So it gets very easy. With a single click, I can do the drag and drop elements. Moving on to the next one. Level AA 2.5.8 target size. The reason it got introduced because it was getting very difficult to activate an element on the mobile devices. If they are very closer and I have a disability, for example, Parkinson's, where my hand continue to shake throughout my application usage, it gets very difficult to click on an element which is 20 pixel height and width. So what the introduction to ensure compliance and ease of use, what have been introduced in this guideline is to have 20 by 20 pixel size, which is absolutely okay, but any a tappable item next to it should have a 4 pixel spacing added so that it becomes easy for a screen reader or for a motor disability user to select an element or tap an element. Similar way, if it's 24 by 24, you're going to meet the compliance, and 44 by 44 is absolutely fantastic to achieve. But anything below 20, not having the 4x space between two clickable elements, will not ensure compliance. So to ensure compliance, we need to have minimum of 20 by 20 with additional 4x space between two clickable elements. Moving on to next one. Next one is again accessible authentication. Now, why accessible authentication came into existence? Because we know security has been enhanced to nth level. Looking at all the hacks that are there in the market and how your data can easily be taken out. So there is always a restriction that your username or your password should be one alphabet, then these many character, these many special character, and it gets very difficult to remember all the usernames and password throughout your usage. Might be you're using 10 accounts and having 10 different password is very difficult for a cognitive disability person. So what has been introduced in this guideline is either have the facial recognition or have the fingerprint scanning, which gets very easy, or allow the authentication through WebAuth or OAuth, or have two-factor authentication, just entering the codes and also allowing the copy pasting of the password if you have it handy. So this enables a cognitive disability user or a person like me who always forgets the password and end up doing forget password and then using the website. So I think all of this really helps, not for the people with disability, but also for the people who are using the different applications at the same time, and remembering all passwords is very difficult. Moving on to the next one. Over to you, Anjali.
Righty. So strategize and implement. So we want to make sure that we're not dwelling on these challenges, because at the end of the day, challenges are always our catalysts for innovation. In order to implement strategy, you need executive buy-in. So begin by securing commitment from the top. Help those stakeholders understand why accessibility is important and the large demographic that accessibility barriers affect. Accessibility policy. So we want to develop and formalize an accessibility policy. This helps users with disabilities and allies to the disability community understand your organization's commitment. Establish an accessibility owner. So this person can help others understand how imperative accessibility is for people with and without disabilities. You need to form a dedicated accessibility team or have, different kind of advocates in different departments. Within execution, so training and awareness, conduct regular trainings across the organization in order to raise awareness. And if this isn't necessarily possible, you can even go through and review some of our previous MagicA11y Lives. Conduct audits, so regularly perform audits of your digital products and services. Tarbeen, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe the rule of thumb is every 2 years unless there's been changes to the product, correct?
Yes, absolutely.
All right. And you want to publish those reports and make it sorry, help keep yourself accountable for those remediation with timelines. And then we also want a born accessible approach. So this leads to cost savings and risk mitigation in the long run. Integrating accessibility implementation at every stage. It shouldn't be an afterthought. It should be in the beginning stages. Alrighty, and long-term integration. So you want a feedback mechanism. So there should be some way for your users to let you know if there's an issue. Continuous improvement. So treat accessibility as an ongoing commitment and regularly update and refine processes. Regular reviews. So schedule periodic reviews of accessibility policies and practices to ensure that they remain effective. And compliance documentation. So keep detailed records of compliance efforts and improvements to showcase progress and dedication to stakeholders. Alrighty, and some benefits beyond compliance. So you're future ready. If you start now and plan for WCAG 2.2, again, it's backwards compatible, so you will have complied to all of the previous versions. Enhanced usability, so this is better for your end user at the end of the day. It's cost effective, so if you start early and you start at the right stage, you're gonna kind of mitigate doing it later in the process, which is gonna end up costing a little bit more. More for brand value. Again, people want to support organizations that are doing the right thing, whether it be a person with a disability that, needs those accommodations or an ally of the disability community that just appreciates, buying from people that do the right things. Legal safeguarding. So you're mitigating the risks of lawsuits here and ensuring that you don't get tangled up. This can also, kind of taint brand appearances. And improved accessibility. So your increased market reach for all users with and without disabilities. All right. And some other things. So you're unlocking new markets by complying with WCAG 2.2, and you're extending your reach. You're driving product innovation. So WCAG 2.2 challenges often result in universal design features that improve usability for all users. You're strengthening your brand integrity. So demonstrating a commitment to WCAG 2.2 enhances your brand's reputation for social responsibility and inclusivity. And embrace leadership. So be at the forefront of your industry by adopting and advocating for WCAG 2.2 standards, setting the benchmark for accessibility throughout all industries. Alrighty, and now we have our question and answer portion. So you can either drop them in the QA box or you can drop them in the chat, whatever works best for you.
There was one question that is there any tool to check the target size for all controls? For now, there is no automated tool that is there, but you can for sure inspect the code and do the right click on the element and see what is the height and the width of the element that is there on the screen. So that's how you can test the guideline for now. Anyone has any other question? We're happy to answer.
Will there be a recording? Yes, there will be a recording. We'll send it out to everyone that registered. And I also mentioned our YouTube earlier, so any previous Magically Lives can be found on our YouTube. Pooja, maybe you can switch to the next slide and we can talk about our upcoming event while we wait for some more questions to roll in.
Also adding in the chat window are all the previous Magically Live. You all can go through it and do let us know what you would like to hear from us in the upcoming session so that we can take that into consideration and pull up in the pipeline that we have. Anything that you are looking for, any problem statement that you have in hand, you can add into the chat.
And while we're waiting for a few more questions, we do have an IAP webinar coming up. So that'll be on June 4th. The link will be in the deck when we share it out. And we'll talk about AI revolution, sorry, enhancing accessibility through innovative solutions.
And Shailesh did answer that there is a bookmarklet you can try for target size. we can surely explore that. Thank you for the confirmation. But I know that bookmarklets would only work for your web applications. And in case you have mobile, you need to review the code and all the information. Yes, we do have a session for design. We have also done a session why design is important. I have copied the URL for our Magically Live YouTube channel. You guys can go through it, and in case you have any questions, you can drop us email and we'll be happy to respond back to your questions or queries. Okay. So you guys can register on our upcoming session. It will gonna be a very interesting session on how AI is getting, like, how accessibility is getting benefited through AI and what are the solutions that we have built and how you can leverage it across and what is new that's coming into AI with accessibility. Anjali, have we pasted the link in the chat?
Give me 1 second. I'll go ahead and do that.
Any other questions? So we are giving back 20 minutes of your day. So you guys can have your coffee and tea. Thank you so much.
Right. Sorry, 2 seconds. I got that link for you. There we go. All right. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us, and we hope to see you at our next session.
Thank you. Thanks all. Thanks for the feedback.